So we will move forward. Thank you again for everyone taking part of that poll. So again, for us, when it comes to outreach, we are doing all of these things. We have a massive process when it comes to outreach, but I will vote for in-person canvassing, which has been hugely effective for us, again, about building trust and engaging. So one of the other things that we do when we plan and we go into our events, again, community-led vaccination events, is we partner with a number of resources, I think, and partners. I think the last time I saw in the work we've been doing, we have partnered with probably more than 65, 70 community organizations, nonprofits, minority-owned businesses, you name it. But again, when we look at our partners, who our resources are that we want to bring to the events, we have to make sure that we have the right partners in place working with us. So I put, if you see the first bullet point, we're very intentional about, we don't want to work with a partner if you're just here to check the box that you did outreach. Like, our expectations are, if you're going to be at our event, you are engaging, you are conducting outreach, you are serving the community, and you're talking, you're listening. So again, this is really important to us. There is nothing worse. For example, when I walk into one of our events or somebody else's event and everybody's standing behind a table, that's not what this is. I view the table as another barrier in place. So this is really important, that what our mission and vision is, that it aligns with those other community resources. And we have to have the right people in place. Again, super important. And then just wanted to focus on this. You can see this picture. This is Trish actually engaging with a little boy. We had a little, I know I'm not supposed to call it Plinko. We call it the prize drop game. Just one way that we engage with families. We get a lot of families who attend our events. And I love, you can kind of see in the background, we have, and that's actually a reflection of the mirror. This was a hip hop health fair at a locally owned fitness gym. And it was just wonderful. We were focused on reaching the Black community. I'd say we had about 95% of the Black community who showed up that day showed up. And we just make sure every event we're at that we're providing those warm connections. We're not pointing and saying, go talk to that person, go call that person. I have never seen a team like our team make sure that the follow-up is done either on site or quickly thereafter. Nobody goes left not being heard, not being taken care of. Again, we have so many community partners on site. And one other thing I want to add is, because we've all experienced the course of the last couple of years, you know, we have surges in the virus and then they go down. I just want you guys to know, from a safety perspective, we flex as well. Early this year, I think it was, we limited the number of people on site. We limited the number of resources. So we're constantly flexing and focused on making sure that people are safe. Again, this is just a couple of other examples. You can see a woman is sitting here. We had, and Trish, I'll let you pop in with this gentleman who offered to volunteer once he saw that we were doing this event at the Hip Hop Health Fair.
This was one of these moments that was really serendipitous, because we had texted out to all our patient population about this hip hop event. And the gentleman who's behind the table happened to be part of the partnership family and reached back out to us and said, I really want to give back. I'm vaccinated, I'm good, but I'm a caricature artist. And could I come and attend and draw pictures of people free of charge, because I really believe in what you're doing? And what an amazing opportunity to have someone who has been served by an organization come back and be really excited about getting involved. So not only did he come back as a small business owner, draw his pictures, but also connected up with a number of people and then asked if he could be a community consumer board member at Partnership. So there were so many opportunities here that just just connected. Again, vaccination was one point, but let's talk about community engagement and community building, and particularly for a man to respond to something, to say, I'm inspired by this. How can I get involved? And when we struggle as a community and as a nation these days with really that feeling of isolation and not connecting as people, that really was inspirational to all of us, that here was somebody who said, I can't wait to get involved. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come forward.
And people were
Lisa-
ecstatic. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, on the note of what you're saying and Trish is saying, one of the point that I want to make is that part of the reason why that partnership piece, we vet that so closely, is because we have to think about that when we refer people to those partners or we introduce those partners to them, we are transferring trust. And that is something that we don't think about sometimes, is that we're just handing them off, even if it's a warm handoff, but it's really, we're taking our trust and we're transferring it to that partner. So that's why we vet partners so closely.
It's extremely important, that chain of trust. Just wanted to point out in this other picture, you can see a couple of boys reading books. One of the biggest pluses that we integrated into our observation time is we have a book cart often at our events giving away books. And when I looked over and saw these two young men, two young boys reading their books, it was like just the best thing ever. And so we've continued to do that as much as possible. Literacy is a huge part of our events. So we have often mentioned throughout this presentation about the human experience. I want to talk just a little bit about like the day of the event in terms of more of that human experience. So we just make sure every person that walks in our door walks out leaving a little bit better about their day, about their community, about their fellow person who maybe reached out and talked to them. We have had so many interactions. Many homeless people show up at our events and attend. We have had people with mental illness. Like, there's so many stories to share that are so powerful about the impact that we are making. So, and of course, we want community members to share with others as well their positive experience and how they felt when they left. Again, this isn't rocket science, but these are just some of the things that we listed that we make sure, like that people are being greeted at the door, that eye contact is being made. I will tell you, not too long ago, we had an event where I could feel the person's irritation as soon as they walked in the door for a vaccination, that they did not want to be there with us. And then it took about 15, 20 minutes to get them registered. And that was taking too long. And I could tell he was getting more impatient. So how can we address that right on the spot? How can we make sure that he feels good about his decision to be vaccinated? So eye contact, that engagement, obviously having bilingual people on hand, the member of the communities that we're serving, making sure that they're there as well with us and serving as a point of contact. I mentioned not standing behind a table, stand next to it, have a conversation with somebody without a barrier in place. A big one, it seems like a little thing, but it's a big one. Walk with people. They are on a journey. You are there with them on this journey. One other thing, I just want to make sure that I get across, and this has been an amazing experience. Early on, a public health department that we worked with, they shared with us that they do a huddle before their events, and they would gather the vaccinators together and go over the flow of event, the process, etc. So we took that idea and we blew it up. So we gather all the volunteers, everyone, the community partners, and we gather around and we have our huddle. And it's not meant to be like, here are the bathrooms. Of course, we integrate that process into this. It's meant to be an engagement tool, and it's meant to make sure everybody feels like they have a part in a very special event. And I cannot tell you how many times we have had community partners, vaccinators come up to us saying, I've never been to an event like this, where there's vaccination. So again, we're building enthusiasm, we're building trust, we're building engagement with the organizers ourselves. And of course, we say thank you and acknowledge our partners over and over again. We want to make sure that not just the attendees feel good leaving that day, we want to make sure that the organizers feel great leaving that day as well. Trish, did you want to take off from here?
Absolutely, because after we kick off our huddle, and there's always an element of logistics that's built into that, and then a little bit of an altar call, that this is really the opportunity to talk about transformation in the community and inspire people a bit, or recognize the struggles that we've been on. We also want to make sure that everyone that's a participant with us really feels that the power of the work that's going on. So whether it's 5 people who show up or 107 that come, it's really all about the work and all about the spirit of the community. So that's something we really set together. And I think that's been a really important part of the work, because once people are connected in not only that human level, but in that philosophical, but that like we really are all in this together, it changes it up. So when we talk about the mingle, and this is, really, I think that in some ways, secret sauce that Lisa talks about is how best to really connect with people and how to utilize some of the natural blocks of a vaccination event to do that type of work. And we really find that observation time, because people do need to sit for 15 minutes or for 30 minutes, depending, and be observed. So as we're there, we really sort of roll out the red carpet in a lot of different ways. We have water bottles. We have the rolling book cart. We can come up and just say, could I get you something? How is it going? How does your arm feel? What's going on today? It's not a lot of pre-packaged conversation, but again, it's really that human touch of how can we just greet you and meet you and listen and engage. And one of the things that we started early on in doing was having people fill out a little questionnaire about how can we help? Because many times if you say or ask someone, so how's it going? They'll say, okay. The conversation stops and starts there. But we have a little form that says, how can we help? Do you have any concerns about your health or about your teeth, or concerns about your mental health or medical bills or other little things? Little like 5-question survey. People are able to fill this out, and then we as the community health center team, along with our community partners, can follow back up with people. We particularly ask about, do you need health insurance? Are you concerned about that? Because we know that that's another piece, particularly within a public health emergency, that if people aren't getting care, they're not getting their medication, and if they're challenged with health insurance, we can really help with that piece. So as we do that, that's a conversation starter, not an inquisition, but really an opportunity for us to connect and then offer. There are many times, and I look at this one right here, where there were people who were older adults who came in who didn't really need anything, but one gentleman said to me, my son is living at home with us. He lost his job. He was a chef. He doesn't have health insurance. How can we connect? Can he come to this vaccination clinic? So as we start really figuring out ways to connect with people, what are the issues that COVID has really impacted, and where are people there? And there's a lot to talk about in that piece and in that place. So then we follow up the next week, we keep a database going and really try to make sure that we do those wraparound services. If someone's asking for something or needing information, we just don't want to ask and then not answer. So that's a really important part of making people feel as though they were listened to and their needs were at least addressed or recognized. Not that we can fix everything. There aren't magic wands, but many times people come in with many other things: food insecurity, housing insecurity, challenges with employment, needing services for children that have been at home for the past couple of years and they haven't gotten connected with a Birth to 5 program, women worrying about preventive health care. And that gives us an opportunity to really start again working through that transformative experience about health and wellness in the community. So as we're talking, talking with people and connecting, making sure, as Lisa and Dr. Pam were talking about, that partner experience, the people around the table are really engaged in this. What else do they need? How can we help them? How can we help them move from behind the table to in front of the table and really engage them in the work that we're doing? And a lot of times there are new people coming to this work and they're not familiar, or they may not know how to start that conversation or take that step out from behind the table and meet with somebody. So it's really, again, that human connection, but also that appreciation. Thank you so much for coming. What inspires you about this work, or who can I introduce you to? We are constantly doing that. Have you met, do you know this person over here? It's in a lot of ways sort of a COVID cocktail party experience, for lack of a better phrase, but always trying to get people to mingle and really meet as people. But the group that's always been outside of this for so long have been the vaccinators in our experience. Many times our vaccinators have felt like they're just there to staff the event, or just give the shot in the arm, or, they're just kind of showing up to get a job done. And what we've really found, that as we connect with them, realizing that the challenges that they've had, particularly in that role, because our role as community organizers and advocates and planners of this event is very different than the person sitting there putting the shot in the arm. And they've also faced a lot of barriers and a lot of challenges, and carry the weight of this work that, well, I'm sitting in this chair and maybe I didn't get a lot of people vaccinated, or what is this really all about? And the isolation that they've felt as individuals doing this work, and particularly when there's been, community angst around vaccination, or people are very hesitant or very anti-vax, people who are the vaccinators really feel that. So we really wanted to make sure from the beginning they walk in that not only are they welcome, but they are part of the team. And I know we say that thank you piece should never be underestimated, but we have also resourced them in some ways. Many times the vaccinators come with their little suitcase of stuff, but we found that there are other things that can really help sort of sweeten their work. Many times children and adults are worried about getting the shot. They're scared. We bring weighted stuffed animals. So people, and we say people, not just children, can have those weighted stuffed animals on their laps, have something to hold. Make sure the vaccinators are there, not only with fun Band-Aids, but other little gizmos that they can give out. And just continue to circle through that vaccine area to make sure that they are really recognizing that we value them. They're part of something special, and the people who are sitting in front of them are there because the vaccinator is able to provide them with something. One of our vaccinators at an event said this, and I thought this was so powerful. Usually we come in and nobody says hi to us. We arrive and there's no one to greet us, show us around. I haven't ever worked at an event like this. I wish all clinics could be like this one. We feel welcome. And when we think about that spirit that's passed on to someone doing a task, that's the human spirit, that's the possibility. That's, again, a piece of the transformation that ends up happening to bring in yet another group. Many times the vaccinators are coming from municipal organizations or contracted services or hospital systems, and they've already worked their 50-hour week and they're doing this as a volunteer or coming in to do something extra. And to make sure that we know that they walk away feeling not only valued, but appreciated and part of the solution to really transforming their community. It moves this from just checking the box and putting it in the immunization registry to being part of something greater, something good, something really powerful.